Okay.
Perfect.
And then I'm gonna just use the view. All right, let's call this subcommittee meeting to order. The first agenda item is roll call attendance. I am Lynn Jackson, and I am the chair of the Bio Safety Subcommittee.
I'm Maggie Rosa. I am clerk of the Gloucester Bio Safety Committee.
Eric Kaplan, member of the Bio Safety Committee and a member of the Board of Health.
Dominique Curley, Health Director and member of the Bio Safety Committee. Great. The next item on the agenda is approval of the July 18th, 2024 meeting minutes. Did anyone have any questions or comments or concerns about the minutes?
Move that we accept the minutes.
I second. Lynn Jackson, I approve.
Maggie Rosa approve.
Eric Kaplan approves.
Am I a voting member? I don't recall. Yes, I think you
I am.
are a
Okay.
voting member.
Dominique
Curley approves. Okay, and then the primary business that this meeting was scheduled for is to review a new application for registration for use of recombinant or synthetic nucleic acids that was submitted by the Gloucester Marine Genomics Institute. So did everyone have a chance to review the entire application before coming to this meeting, I hope?
I did.
Yep. Just 1 minute, sorry. And did anyone have questions, comments, or things to address in the application?
I have no questions. I do think that the application was very professionally developed, concise, and very intelligible. So I appreciate the efforts of GMGI.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think it was a very well written and clearly written application. And so it was very easy to review. And I had no questions either for any of it.
I agree.
And Eric, you have no questions? No?
I had one, and it's really a question for you all. Under the risk assessment and control, they are identifying risk to human health and the environment. And so when they are talking about their measures, they repeatedly going back to human health. And I'm just wondering if and at the very end, they have a paragraph that talks about protection surrounding bleach and use of, to be sure that they don't have any of these cultured cells inadvertently getting introduced into the sea.
Yep.
To impact, other sea urchins. And I'm just, at some point, it'd be great to understand how exactly that is being done.
Could you,
I think, are you referring to
I
the
thought I had this.
potential
On page
risks
17,
associated with
Risk
using
assessment
cells
and
from
control.
wild sea urchins?
yeah, they had done a risk assessment for working with sea urchin cell cultures to identify potential risks to human health and the environment and to implement measures to mitigate adverse events. That's basically in their experimentation processes, like how are they making sure that the work that they're doing isn't inadvertently getting exposed to the humans or to the environment. And in this case, because we're right next to the sea, could anything that they do end up in the sea, right? Just its proximity, but they say that they have protocols in place. Again, I'm not.
They bleached them. There was a protocol somewhere further down.
Yes.
Did
Designated
you,
work areas are routinely decontaminated with bleach or alcohol.
Next to the last page.
And
Yeah,
liquid waste is,
risk assessment in vertebrate cell culture is generally considered low risk to human health. However, when working with wild caught sea urchins, it is possible that they harbor infectious agents, bacteria, fungi, or viruses that could threaten natural sea urchin populations, which is their impetus for not allowing anything into the ocean.
right,
It is also recognized that some agents can cross species barrier and infect new hosts. And then they go through all the things that they do, quarantining the animals after sea make sure that they're healthy,
Mhm.
drawing a sample of coelomic fluid. And looking at the cell counts to make sure there's no indication of a big immune response that might indicate an infection. How they monitor the seawater that these animals are maintained in, how they're fed and enrichment used. They listed the places they may obtain sea urchins from. And just says all with appropriate permits, which I assume. Yeah, protocols are in place to ensure no products of sea urchins or cultured cells are inadvertently introduced into the environment.
Would you mind,
So
Manager,
Yeah.
what page are you on at the moment?
In
I'm
2 places, it's on
sorry.
24 and 18.
I'm sorry.
It's on page 25. Under, when they go into greater detail, it's also introduced on the same language almost is on, page 17.
Well, I was looking at page 17. Then I'll go back, it's 25.
And then
So
also,
in terms of work areas, they did define in here that the cells are only handled in the cell culture laboratory, which obviously was a laboratory designed for
Yep.
culturing cells. And that the microscope that they use is in the main laboratory. But all the work is done inside a biosafety cabinet in the cell culture room.
and then bleach is used after that.
Right, and then, any liquid waste is decontaminated with bleach, 10% final concentration. Or Wescadine, 0.5% final concentration. And solid waste is incinerated. The solid waste actually goes and is picked up by Viola, who is the hazardous waste contractor for them.
So my question was to you, experts in lab protocols, if that was any area of concern for you, or did that seem perfectly appropriate? Because my gap was just like, what does that mean? You know, how are we sure that those cells aren't going anywhere else and can't make their way back into to wild?
Well, I think because they're contained within the laboratory and handled in a biosafety cabinet.
And it's all embryos, it's not a full urchin.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's all embryos that are basically killed as a process of getting the embryos to use for their experiments.
And then everything
And then they're, in my experience, bleach is the most commonly used agent for killing cells, to ensure that there's no cells that escape into the environment. So I didn't have any questions
Okay.
about that. I don't know, Maggie, I do, you spent lots of times in the lab too.
When we worked with cell culture, it was bleach that we used, for a standard protocol for a standard length of time. So it didn't raise any red flags to me that
Okay.
they were, being, shall we say, cavalier. Yeah, I think.
Yeah,
I
it's
think the
more like-
whole, application to me indicated that they were very conscientious about everything that they were doing and recognizing that, sea urchins can carry viruses and putting them in quarantine.
Well, the other thing is, for them internally, they have other urchins that they're
Yeah.
using for other
That's
things.
what I know, and that's what I
And
was
so
wondering.
they would be really afraid of transmitting anything from these
Right.
wild urchins to the urchins they have on experiments.
So lab protocols, gloves.
So there's an additional layer of, concern, I guess, on the part of the scientists.
Where do they keep the other sea urchins compared to where the biosafety lab is? The biosafety lab and their live sea urchins, are they anywhere close to each other?
Well, the aquarium room,
I think in their permit, they
there's
gave
only
us.
one aquarium room
Yeah.
with all the saltwater recirculating tanks. So I am assuming that the ones they receive from the wild would be in that room, because it's the only place they have aquariums for housing urchins.
In their permit application, they were required to give us an organizational layout, like of their building. So I
This is
can,
a registration, not a permit.
I know, but when they were permitted,
Okay.
right?
No, they
Oh,
have,
they
they have
have to
another
reg-
registration
No,
Before they're
into
permitted.
the building.
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
to the building.
Yeah.
Okay, yep.
If it is one of these before.
Sorry, written registration is required and includes, and a brief, it basically has a requirement in the last thing that they sent in, which gives us a layout of their building. So if we were interested in that, we could go back into the other documentation, is my point.
Mm-hmm. Well, we can certainly ask for a layout of the building and identify the labs where, you know, the animals will be housed and where the work will be used. So that we have that.
You likely have SOPs for hand care, like gloves and all of that as well. We should, nothing is residual.
Yeah, the training section, I mean, they did indicate that people are trained to conduct cell culture. But they did say that there was no specific training for handling the sea urchin cells. Because basically they're handled like any other cell that they would be handling. For the PPE, I think they just said, you know, routine PPE, but I don't think they actually define what that means. Did anyone else?
Definitions perhaps?
Let's look at. Training session, training. Yeah, in the general laboratory safety practices session, which is part of the training. Lab coats are provided and should be worn as required and always when using hazardous chemicals. Safety glasses, goggles, and particulate masks, respirators are available as needed. Gloves are worn to protect you and your sample, must be removed before touching common surfaces.
That's the big one up there.
Do not wear gloves outside of the laboratory and do not touch your face, etc. So basically this defines that they're gonna have lab coats on. And they're gonna have gloves on. And so I think that's the PPE that they're referring to, refer to PPE.
This is exempt, so it is a registration, right?
Right.
Yeah, the regulations, Maggie, to your point, definitely talk about for permitting, it's when you need the building layout, but for registration, it's not required.
Okay. So we're not gonna ask them for that.
They should just.
I didn't think it was required for registration because they didn't provide it last time for their
I thought that they had, yeah.
previous registration.
So we'll be in the loop by 30.
And of course, we have the authority to go and visit their labs too and say, you know, can you show me exactly where these things are gonna happen within your laboratory? But I've been through the lab myself quite a few times,
I've never seen it. I'd love to see it.
so.
Oh, you should go. It's great. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, it's really, yeah, it's very fascinating. If you haven't been, I suggest you go. But I personally wouldn't hold that as a requirement for approving this,
Understand.
this registration.
Mark, I can ask if you can get a tour if you'd like. Happy to set that up. I'm happy to set that up to talk with them and get you a tour.
But not as part of the.
Yeah, not as part of the review, just as a sidebar.
So are we okay with the PPE as lab coat and gloves, and obviously they're working inside a biosafety cabinet? So I presume they bring the urchin from the aquatic tank where it lives into the cell culture laboratory and do all their manipulations within the biosafety cabinet.
And they probably have a laundry.
Hmm?
They probably have a laundry in the building. A laundry through the lab.
I don't know if they send out their lab coats or whether they launder them internally. That didn't come up as something anywhere. Yeah.
Just curious where that goes.
I mean, we could certainly ask that question, but again, for their own work, they have every, intention of not having any cross contamination. And in fact, that came up at the Bio Safety Committee meeting, that, they're very, very attentive to that, because obviously they know it would screw their other experiments. So they're very careful about no cross contamination occurring. So did we decide on anything that we require them to respond to? I personally don't.
So the experts,
I think
you think it's
I think it's-
satisfactory and.
Yeah.
And you said, did he come on?
Tony's not on now.
Oh, he did come on. Well, you said that Tony thought that.
Yeah, Tony sent me an email and I asked him to send it to you as well, but he sent me an email this morning saying he had a medical emergency, but that he saw nothing untoward with the application. He also is my designee to be serving on the safety committee
Mhm.
there.
Mhm.
So that means he's very familiar with all of their protocols and practices as well. So it's a valuable asset to have on this committee.
So with that, can I make a motion to accept their registration?
You can make a motion for us to vote,
Yes. That's what I'm trying to.
since it requires
Yes.
roll call voting.
to recommend.
To recommend to the Board of Health,
Recommend approval.
to the Board of Health, and then I can add it to the agenda. If we approve it, I can add it to the agenda for this next meeting.
Board of Health meeting. So I vote to approve it without any
Maggie?
questions or comments.
It's afterwards, after we move.
Who was the second? Eric made the motion.
Second,
Okay, Lynn, second, thank you. I'm in favor. Maggie Rosa is in favor.
Eric Kaplan in favor.
Dominic Curley in favor.
okay. Then the Biosafety Subcommittee of the Board of Health has approved this registration application and
You're recommending approval.
recommended approval to the Board of Health.
That's correct.
And so it will be presented, when is the next?
At the next Board of Health hearing, which is this week, I believe,
Is it?
I have it.
early next week,
Early next week, beginning of September.
September, that's correct. We're working on all the packets right now, so that's why I'm thinking this
Okay,
week,
so the next Board of Health meeting will be September.
next Thursday.
Ann Peterson just asked for feedback, so she knows where it is in
September
the
4th.
process, so I had responded to her email.
September 4th.
September 4th?
Next Thursday.
Okay.
It's invaluable, Eric.
For that meeting, Dominique, are any of us expected to attend the Board of Health?
You're
in
welcome
case
to.
They have questions?
We didn't last time.
No, but
If you wanted to send a note to the board saying that you've reviewed the protocols for all of the regulation requirements and find it, in keeping with expectation, then the board would make the move to vote, because you are the body that helps them make that decision.
Like the advisory committee.
Yeah,
Well,
you are the subject matter experts.
so is that something we should do, Lynn?
it's probably not a bad idea to have some representation from the subcommittee. Or at least in case any
letter.
questions come up about, what we discussed when we reviewed the application or that sort of thing.
And Eric, of
Are
course,
you volunteering, Maggie?
I thought I could go along with Joe.
is catch a ride.
Okay.
Yeah, you already have a ride.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be doing the chauffeuring.
They're the experts.
Okay,
Very good. No, I think it's a good idea. And then at our next meeting, you can basically tell us how it was reviewed at the Board of Health and.
okay,
That
whenever
would
our
be-
next meeting is.
Yeah, well,
So I have Are we moving, have we finished this item?
Yes. Yes. So any new or other questions or
I have a
concerns
question is, once they get their registration approved,
after the Board of Health
yes,
approves it,
then they can
Right.
get a permit. They can apply for
their registration?
They will receive their registration.
Right.
That's the application for registration is what we're reviewing right now.
Yep.
But then they have to get,
Yep.
what's the next step for them?
A permit is if it's not exempt, separate
Oh,
item.
but so this
It's
is
not-
exempt anyway.
It's
so-
exempt,
So
so,
they don't need a permit.
yeah, it's just approval of their registration.
Okay.
And, the other question that Ann Peterson had raised to me that I wanted to bring up at this meeting is when we designed the electronic application database for this, the design was that there was supposed to be kind of an email tickler for the annual,
Mhm.
update.
A campaign, yeah. The campaign is
And
a
so, but
feature.
this is their previous registration that is now coming up for
And they
their,
didn't get that tickler.
their annual. And so the question is, are they gonna get pinged by the system?
So what happens is the software allows you as the user to set up a campaign. And a campaign is a feature that allows you to say, anybody with this kind of a permit type that needs to be a renewal, send them an email to the email on file. The email on file is likely Sam, because
Yes.
Sam's gone, so we would need to go in and update that to
To suit, Ann,
which we can go in and change that. I'll make a note on that one.
yeah,
And then when we send that out, it'll go to her email, because right now it would go to, because Sam is the current
okay.
registrant.
And the other thing I
Or contact
couldn't remember is I know that we had talked about like having an actual form, annual review form. But my recollection is that we decided that there's really no need for it because the instructions for providing your annual update are very clear. And it'll probably just come back to us in paragraph form.
You mean they're clear in our regulations?
Hmm?
They're clear in our regulations, or they're clear inside of the application inside of the registration application? When you
It
say,
is, it
Okay.
actually is in this application. Doesn't seem that,
but we can make sure that, because we can send out an email with that to be sure that we explain to them what's required.
a report summarizing the recombinant or synthetic nucleic acid work performed over the past 12 months and any ongoing work and work planned for the upcoming year. So that's what they're supposed to provide to us. And that language, I'm sure we took right out of the regulations when we made the forms. Because the other question was, nobody seemed to have documentation of when their original registration was approved.
We have that from the Board of Health meeting minutes, though,
Yeah,
so I can get back to them on that. But does that mean that we never physically process that registration?
Well, that's my question, because
Yeah.
I went through the Board of Health minutes and I did not see any issue about the Board of Health approving.
yeah, it should have been on the Board of Health meeting minutes.
Yes, it would have been.
Uh,
You went through all of them, Maggie?
Well, I can go through them again, but it wasn't apparent to me in any of the ones that I saw. It's not that,
I remember I followed up with Sam to say that you all had voted to approve and that we were putting it on the next Board of Health agenda, so I can go back and look at that communication. And if it didn't make it to the Board of Health agenda, which would be not good, we can add it to this one as well, so we'd approve their prior registration as well as this new registration.
right.
So I'll do that homework for us before
And
the
it
next.
could be
board.
retroactive
I'm
to,
quite sure though that, because you sent an email out to
Right.
us to say, the registration was reviewed at the board meeting today and it was approved.
Right,
So
It's gotta be there.
it's gotta be in the minutes.
it's,
I'll
If
find it,
it's lacking in the minutes, maybe the preparative action is to add it to the
to amend the
minutes.
minutes, yeah.
So
So that would be
it's
me
accurate.
going through the recordings, right?
Well, I'll just figure out what date the meeting was and then go back and we can listen to the recording,
Yeah,
listen to the transcription, and read the meeting minutes. Do you remember off the top what month that was?
September,
Okay.
I believe.
yeah.
I think that's what I had in an email. It was from
I'm
September.
sorry.
thorough usually.
I will hunt that down and share, I'll communicate with all of you on what I found and what we've reviewed. And if for any reason, I wouldn't have sent you the email saying the board approved if the board didn't approve, but.
Right, exactly. That's my point.
Yeah.
You must have reviewed it and approved it.
Yeah, so then what we'll do is I'll just verify how that happened, how it unfolded in what meeting, and we'll certainly bring this one up, for approval. And this entire packet, I believe, has to be forwarded to the board. Do we want a cover letter to the board saying we approve it?
The regulations don't really specify how we submit our recommendation, do they?
I think it would be worthwhile adding a letter because then we've
Yeah.
got the packet.
Yep.
That's probably, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I can just make a little
Yeah.
cover letter that
Yeah.
says, the Bio Safety Subcommittee convened and reviewed and approved the application without, any,
Approved recommendation,
yes, approved recommendation.
Okay,
yeah. So
That's good.
I think
That's
that's,
good.
I think that's a good practice for us to do that.
I believe you are correct. I think that's a good practice too.
It's good closure.
So would I send that to you to make sure it gets into
I'll make sure,
the
if you send it to me
meeting
and
packet?
sign it,
Okay.
I can make sure it's in the meeting packet as part of the agenda. It's in the board packet as well as on the agenda. And I will also follow up on the, how it was presented to the board last time. And I'll also follow up on, the campaign to renew.
What I did not do, was look at the agendas for those meetings at the Board of Health in, say, September, October, November. So I should do that.
It really should be in the minutes though, because.
I know it should be in the minutes, but if we've got it in the,
Yeah,
agenda,
agenda, we know which
then-
meeting
then we
it
know,
happened in.
yeah, it's, I'm just,
Good going.
okay.
And if for any reason it was on the agenda, we'll make a move to, ask the board to update the minutes to reflect.
Yeah. Thank you, Lynn, for bringing that up, because that was my issue of when are we going to review the annual report? That we need the timing for the annual
Yeah,
report.
and I guess we need the timing for the report and we need it to be submitted so that.
Yes, yeah.
And presumably it gets submitted through the database, right? Because everything's supposed to be in one, in one
And
place.
open gov. I'll look into that for you. I'll send you out a note.
But when something is submitted to the database, is there a tickle to you to take, pay attention to?
So so Danielle is the assigned person, so if something's updated to the database, Danielle is alerted. If you remember when we set this up, it was Lee Leary. Wow, Lee Mara, that is a blast from 20 years ago, my Belmont Hill days. It's crazy how names. Anyways, Lee Leary was the contact when Danielle joined us at our bid. Danielle now becomes a contact, so she would be updated if anything changed in a permit. Just the entity that we work within. I know it's a registration, but it's a permitting platform that we're using for this. And so I will look into both of these items for us. To be sure how we set up the campaign and how Danielle is alerted. I know she is the contact because, she's been the person getting all of this content.
Right, no, she did a very nice job putting everything together.
So do you copy Danielle on correspondence to Dominique?
I haven't been. Just because she's not a committee member.
Yeah.
Committee member. I mean, obviously, I include her if it's something that involves her,
Yeah,
Right, that was just
primarily for
curious.
permit and registration
Yeah.
processing.
but if it's just, information for subcommittee members, then no, I typically don't
So Danielle typically would get the agenda. If you have any agenda items you'd want to add, you can work through me or directly with her.
Yeah,
If there's anything you want to unfold in a meeting, she would help make sure that that
yeah,
happened.
no, I sent a draft agenda to her.
Yeah.
For all of us, so.
And I was out on FMLA during all of this unfolding, so. She did a great job.
Yeah, she did a great job. Please, comment to her on our behalf that we.
She hears it
appreciate
all the time. She's an asset to our department,
Excellent.
but I'll be sure to pass this on as well.
All right, are there any other items of business that anyone else would like to bring up?
No.
Do I have a motion to
I'll
end
make the
this
motion
meeting?
to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor? Lynn Jackson, Chair.
Maggie Rosa, yes.
Eric Kaplan, yes.
Dominique Curley, yes.
All right, so with that, the
Tony put
meeting
in a
is
sunshine.
closed.
We have a wonderful staff.